way and things like that. That would be cool. And then, ultimately, with the ability, maybe at some point, maybe somebody wants to come on live and we actually kind of sit
Yep.
there and help with the studio thing.
Ooh,
I think
that would-
I think that's the kind of thing that's going to make this a lot more popular to people.
And we can mention that. We could definitely mention that today and say, hey, we have that ability, to bring you on to kind of talk to you if you're willing to come on. That's totally cool. Sorry, I'm just getting
I'm
everybody
sorry.
kind of positioned
No,
here.
I appreciate that because I was trying to do it with my chair, and I always forget you have the ability to do it a lot better.
yeah.
I'm just trying to
I
make
just make sure I
everybody's
sit
head.
still, Jeff. I just make sure I sit still, and he does his magic. So,
All right, I'm gonna push us out
That's
live
right.
on Facebook, and then I'm gonna get us on LinkedIn here right quick.
okay. I'll be watching Facebook here. I got it open already, so waiting for the. Hi, everybody watching on YouTube. Just getting set up.
Oh, did you get the notification for YouTube?
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right. It appears
Yeah,
that
I just saw it on Facebook. Hey, everybody.
looks like LinkedIn is going, so we'll see if I get the notification here on LinkedIn.
Oh, Brad's watching already. Hey, Brad.
I'm gonna get on.
Brad's a power
Vocal.
user.
Brad is a power user.
Okay, so we are on Vocal now as well. So I've got that. See, Jeff, you're on Vocal and you didn't even realize it.
There you go. Leading the world of live streaming. Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, the way I look at it is it's just another medium, right? It's just another place that we can go and people can watch. And guys, if you're tuning in on Facebook or on LinkedIn, and obviously we do know a thing or two about a thing or two.
Wait,
If you
one sec,
wanted,
guys, sorry.
yep. If you want us to do a little Q&A here in pre-show, we got about 10 minutes. If you have a question in regards to your broadcast setup or a question in Wirecast, Marty made the suggestion last week when we got off the phone and said, hey, it'd be really cool. Maybe we could do a pre-show and talk about, since people had Wirecast questions or whatever. If you guys have a question about that, go ahead and ask it, and we'll do our best to answer. If it's something that's going to be long drawn out, well, you're going to have to go talk to support. But what do you think, Marty? I think we can handle something
now's
that
your
comes
chance.
through. Now's your
Oh, yeah.
chance, yes. Rather than when we get into the show, I think it'll be really cool if that's something
I'm
you guys
watching
want to do.
Facebook here.
I'm pulling up LinkedIn, so you guys just bear with me here on LinkedIn.
It's going to be for those of you already tuned in, it's going to be a very interesting topic today. Talking about cell phone video and kind of our thoughts and some interesting viewpoints about how that fits in to social video.
Yes. So I'm pausing my video on LinkedIn because I want to make sure that
I did the same on Facebook.
I don't know if the comments are going to keep going. I hope they do. But listen, if we don't see your comment, we are not ignoring you. We will go back and answer it after the show if for some reason. I'm not 100% sure yet with LinkedIn if the comments keep going if I pause the video. Just because I don't want to be tearing up all kinds of bandwidth watching it here, watching it there. Everything looks good
I know on Facebook, I pause the video and comments do keep coming. So I'm looking in the side. That's what I'm looking at. I got my computer down here.
So I'm going to go on Facebook and I'm going to share the video from out. And if you guys could do the same, that would be great. As long as the internet would start cooperating with me here. Or Facebook or whatever. Any day. There we go. I hope my son got off the internet.
Oh boy, that's always a question.
Well, he's watching. If he's just watching videos, so I think he'll be all right. He hasn't gotten to the point where he games online. We won't let him do that yet because.
There you go.
You just don't know. You don't know what kind of people are out there, and he's going to be 7 on tomorrow
Yeah.
actually. So it's just like just play with yourself on the.
Yep. There's plenty of time.
Yeah, you got plenty. It's just like my daughter. My daughter wants to start doing YouTube videos, and she wants to start doing live stuff, kind of like I do. And she asks me all the time, "Dad, can you produce it for me? Can you?" And I'm like, this is a life I chose. This is a life I decided to do for a living, is to get on camera and take the beating that I take sometimes. Um, I don't know if I'm ready for you, and I don't know if you have the thick skin enough yet to go on and you're gonna take a beating. People are people. People are gonna pull out every
Yep.
imperfection that you have, and they're gonna um, whether there's anything wrong with you or not, they're gonna find something wrong with you because they hide behind keyboards and mice and
Mhm.
and I told her, I was like, I don't know if you're ready for that. I said, just practice, shoot your videos, and just show your friends. But we're gonna wait a little bit before we put you out live and do any kind of stuff like that because people can be cruel.
Yep.
It's just how it is. I mean, I'm a grown man. And there's times where it's like, why am I doing this? You know.
Mhm.
But
Well, also I mean, as you get you're mature, you know what to expect, you know what the deal is, it's a whole different stuff. Yeah, yeah, and that's part of the whole growth process. But yeah, I think you're taking a good approach to this. It's like it's a step by step approach.
it is.
Um,
It is.
Want to say hello to Luke on Facebook. Hey, Luke, thanks for joining us. And Dennis, Dennis, if I mangle your name, don't kill me. Dennis Poliat. And he has a comment. Our corporate clients love cell phone videos. If only they would come up with a way to auto force 16:9 video instead of portrait. And Dennis, great comment. We're going to talk about that. That you're kind of reading our minds here. But that's going to be a nice little discussion we're going to have about that.
We're
But
gonna.
yeah, you make a good point.
We have a good discussion, and I think I'm going to be the pessimist of the three today. So I'm just preparing everybody now. But we did have a viewer send in their setup, and we're going to kind of go over that a little bit. Basically, just to show it off. If you're into sports, something you definitely want to pay attention to, and it kind of goes along with this. So, if you got any questions right now, any troubleshooting questions that you want to throw out there, we got about 5 minutes. We can do that here in pre-show. We're happy to answer any kind of technical questions if it's something we can answer fairly quick without spending a lot of time. We could kind of do that for a pre-show here for about 5 minutes.
Steve, I got up. Am I good at the framing?
Yes, yes. You're a professional. Of course you are. I'm digging that fuchsia shirt, man. I'm going to have to get me one of them.
I told you, it was just I went into Wirecast and kicked the color up. It went from purple to fuchsia, so I had to back down a little bit. So
Let me ask you this: is the fuchsia better than the Hawaiian shirts?
Yes, and I was just about to say that is not permission to wear the Hawaiian shirt next week, Marty, because I will say, everybody watching, you have no idea. I will lose it. Every time I see him in a Hawaiian shirt, I'm like, what are you trying to be, Magnum or what?
Tommy Bahama, right?
Oh my god.
Jeffy, you haven't seen the Hawaiian shirts.
You don't want to see the Hawaiian shirts.
I'm waiting for the Dateline exclusive.
Oh man, drives Steven crazy.
Oh
it's
man,
hilarious.
So Kirk George on LinkedIn says, I like the episode that talked about lighting. In the episode, Marty was not to a window with two. Marty was next to a window with two lamps. Since I don't have a window, should I use 3 lamps? One from the front and the other 2 from the sides.
Yeah, let me take that. And who was that made the comment? Steven?
Kirk George on LinkedIn.
Kirk. Kirk, want to make it real clear. My 2-light setup is not ideal. I would not recommend it. But the window light, I think I get away with it. I think I just have enough light since we're doing this during the day. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to add more lighting. I really need to add more lighting. I need to add more lighting to my green screen just to even it up. But what I would do is if you're starting from scratch, I would set up 2 lights in front, one a main light or a key light, and then another fill light, and maybe the fill light can be further back, a little bit less intense, just to give it some dimension on your face. And then I would really light if you're using a green screen, really light that well. And the key with green screen lighting is evenness. So you want to make sure that's evenly lit. So you're gonna have to use a couple of lights, one on maybe either side, and try to get it even. And then if you can, the other light I would add is maybe a backlight, something that faces and goes toward the back of your head or on the top of your head, and gives. And I know Jeff is using it on his setup where it gives your hair a little bit of dimension and it separates you from the background. That I would add that if you can. But I would definitely add the 2 lights in the front and evenly light the green screen. Don't rely on my setup. My setup is not recommended. It's not really the proper way to do it. So yeah, I'm just kind of getting away with it. So
He's getting away with it.
yeah,
It looks good.
just for
I would also
transparency.
say, yeah, I would also say too, the question is, what kind of light are you using? Are these lamps, bulbs that shine in every direction, or are they directional lights? Some of that will, obviously affect what the way things look. But Marty hit it right on the head. It's about getting even lighting and then getting you well lit on top of it. And if you can pull those off with 3 lights, that's awesome. If you need, an extra light here and there, small light, that always helps. So.
Yeah, Kirk just said, thank you for the pointers. He appreciated it. So I think if you talk to everybody here, like I started out with 2 lights, 3 lights, and then now I've got 4 front-facing lights on me, kind of like in a circular. And I think, Jeff, you have a lot in front of you. And then I've got 2 hair lights up above me to kind of shoot over and kind of break up. And they're not bright, the hair lights. I don't have them really bright. It's not something that you can see. A couple episodes ago, I had some shine off my forehead, and Jeff was like, "You need to start wearing makeup so you don't have that problem," and some other things. But
If I can throw this shot up real quick.
oh, we lost audio, so it should be back.
Okay,
Sorry.
we should be back.
We should. I think I accidentally muted.
All right.
Because I was getting ready for to go live. So sorry about that, guys. I accidentally muted. Go to the forums. Right now, there's nothing for that DJI Osmosis. But if the DJI, excuse me, if you go over and download the beta of Wirecast 13, that's in the beta. It's a public beta over in Telestream forums. Put your feedback. Put in the feature requests that you want to see, and who knows, they might show up. But you guys ready to rock and roll?
Let's do it.
All right, let me get this all. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of On Social. I'm your host, Stephen Haywood, and I'm here with my co-host. We've got Mr. Marty McPadden from PodJam.tv. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Stephen. How are you?
We are doing well. We also have the return of Mr. Jeffrey Fitzgerald from JeffInHighDef.tv. Welcome.
Hey, I'm always happy to be here.
Well, it's great. Last week we talked about the green screening, and we were like, "Darn it, we wish Jeff was here and we could have shown your setup." But those that were here in pre-show, they got to see the marvelous setup that you have. A lot of great comments for both of you guys on your lighting setup. So it's great to, if you guys are thinking about showing up early, it's always a great time that you can ask your questions and troubleshooting questions to get that out there. But guys, we have our first viewer submitted video that we're going to touch later on in the show, that new segment that we talked about last week. And I think it's going to be really cool. Basically, he's not asking for any help, but he wants to show off what they're doing in the basketball, swimming, and I believe it's women's softball that they're doing, and for the one college. And I think it'll be really, really cool to look at that. But there's something else. There's an elephant in the room that everybody knows is a pet peeve of mine that I cannot stand when people say, I'm shooting professional video, and I'm probably going to get a lot of haters on the stream for this. I'm shooting professional video, but I'm using a cell phone. So before I give my 2 cents on it, Marty, we're going to start with you. I want you to kind of talk. What's your take on this? Does there come a point where you say, put the cell phone away, get a professional camera?
In a word, yes. Now, I'm not going to take the pessimistic side all the way, because I believe there are some use cases for it. But my pet peeve, and I think people do disservices, and let me just grab my phone here. I got my iPhone here. And what's great about this is, now this is the iPhone 10s, 10X, 10S Max. It's easy for you to
Say
say.
that 3 times fast.
Right? Well, what's amazing, I find, and I've been doing this for a while, and I'm always amazed at the power of a device like this. This is your phone, and it's got an incredible camera in there. It's capable of doing 4K video, I think 30 frames a second, which 4K video, which is amazing on a device this size. Slow-mo, 1080p, high definition. The video quality is fantastic for a device this size. So you gotta, no wonder why people want to use their devices here. The thing I have is, I think there's a time and place for this. And number one, I think the best use case for cell phone video is when nothing else will do. So if you cannot get professional gear, or if you're not in the studio, or especially if it's not something that's preset, then this is great, because this is normally something you have with you at all times. So like in a breaking news situation, you might be walking the streets, maybe say if you're in New York City and you see breaking news, usually probably the only type of camera you're going to have is this. And luckily, the good news is that the quality of the video is going to be very, very good. The mistake people make all the time is they hold the camera like this. And I realize that that's how you use the phone.
I hate
But that's
that.
not usually, yeah, I hate that too, but that's not how people view video. I know when you take it, and we're kind of forced into it, we live in this vertical video world, but think about this. It's much better you just turn the phone this way, and you can take regular horizontal video. And the reason I say that is it doesn't match up to how humans see. I mean, think about it. When you're looking at, you have 2 eyes in the front of your head, they're not vertical, they're horizontal, right? So your field of view is a horizontal field of view, and that's how you see the world. That's how we're presenting the show. So if at all possible, I think cell phone video is great if that's your only choice and that's all you have. And again, the quality can be really good if used properly, but turn it this way, much better effect. Because when you look, I understand if you're quick and you're just shooting the video, you're not thinking about it, and that's when you can tell people are holding the phones up and they're not thinking. But it's like, turn the phone this way, you're gonna have much better product, much better viewer experience. And again, I think, Stephen, which I think will surprise people, a lot of people still view video on the desktop or on a tablet. It's still, a lot of videos viewed on the mobile device, and you're probably holding like this, but again, just turn your phone this way, and it's just much more well suited. That's the thing I think people forget, and it just doesn't fit how humans are set up. So that's my take.
Jeff, what about you? I mean, I'm sure it has its place, but go ahead and elaborate.
Well, I'll tell you where I think that there is a definite delineation between professional video and iPhone video. I've seen it a lot in the conference event space. People who will spend millions of dollars on a product launch. They'll spend $70,000 on a logo. They'll have this, this big plan to launch at their big annual event, and they go, "Oh, by the way, we want to do video of this. We want to interview our thought leaders and subject matter experts." And hey, Bob, you guys, the three of you have iPhones, don't you? Well, iPhones are pretty good quality. Set those guys up like a 3-camera setup. Find a way to make it work, and we'll do a nice little show. And it does work. There's no doubt about it. But the difficulty is with an iPhone. The biggest thing, as Marty pointed out, it's a different animal. The lens on this, even with the telephoto lens, is not that distant. And so, for you to get close to the shot that I've got now with the medium frame centered up, camera sometimes has to be 5 or 6 foot from you, and at most maybe 10 foot. So the physical limitations of the device itself can make for a frustrating experience, because people go to the effort of setting everything up, laying it out, getting ready to go, and they're like, "Well, why are they so far away?" And there's no way they can fix that. And of course, without having knobs and the ability to adjust dynamic light levels, a lot of people will set up next to a big window and think, "Oh, this is great," but they're not looking outside, and there are beautiful clouds that are keeping things nice and even, and then the sun comes out and blinds everybody. And professional gear gives you the ability to handle the technical challenges a lot better with a much more ease and confidence than the iPhone crowd. But that's not to say that there's not a place for mobile video in any stretch. I mean, obviously, it's the hottest thing out. We know there's millions of uses for it. Where I think it's done really well is in the local music scene. Setting up at the local restaurants where people want to show off their stuff, getting close in proximity, and finding a way to use it in those settings, I think, has done wonders for people. It certainly gives you the ability to have great quality at a low buy-in, but there's definitely a place where you need to think about switching the momentum and the thought and vision for what you want. And if it's to really impress somebody with something you've invested in as a product, you might want to put money on the video side to make sure that equals the quality that you're putting everywhere else.
One of the big issues that I see a lot is people, like you're saying, they're taking their cell phones and they're standing them upright, as Marty alluded to earlier, not going that 16:9, and they're doing talk style shows like we're doing right now. And I just don't see the professionalism in that. There are ways that you can hook up a microphone to it. I mean, I have one of these Rode, I guess it's a Video Mic Pro that you can hook up to your iPhone or your Android device. And a lot of times I won't even use the built-in mic, guys, when I go out and just if I'm shooting an outdoor video and something really simple, things like that. I mean, I even have that's nice having a desk here. I have everything just stashed under here. I have the little dead cat that you can the windscreen to put on it. I mean, we try to take video very serious, and I see guys doing talk type shows, and they're coming out with these GoPros, right? And they're clamping them up on their setup, and they're using the iPhone as their main camera, and they're using GoPros as secondary cameras and switching, and they're going, "Hey, I've got a professional show going on," and they're getting that nice fisheye lens from the GoPro, and even sometimes, like you were saying, the close proximity of the camera, it's just not doing justice. You just don't have the flexibility that you do with a regular camera. Running and gunning, I guess I agree with you guys, maybe out there in news type scenarios, but I have a hard time just accepting cell phone video as professional video. I really do, and
Well,
I don't know.
I will counter that with one thing, and to say that one of the things that's happened in the last 10 years is YouTube has changed completely the dynamic of what is acceptable video. We have moved from a visual presentation style ingestion of media to really the content is first, as it always should have been. These days, a lot of people don't care if you're in a dining room or if you're in front of a setup like we have, as long as what you're communicating is of value and has some meaning to it. But that said, if the technology begins to be a distraction, if it's not creating any meaning or value, then I think you have to look at it in a way that maybe, what can I do differently? We should probably frame the conversation that we are speaking completely in terms of what TV usually accepts and what TV usually sees in that frame. If you're a surfing or skateboarding group, having a fisheye lens, on top of you is the norm. But for business video, for LinkedIn Live, that kind of thing, this is the kind of thing I think most people are going to be familiar with because it's what we've learned and how we've learned to kind of view things in the American television.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I go
Yeah.
tubing, guys, I mean, I'll take this and I'll clip it on my. I have a chest one and I have one for my head, and like if I just want to catch a video like that, or a lot of times when I'm fishing, I can strap it on my head and be hands free. If anybody's fished, you know, you need both your hands, so having something like this or another type of camera is great. Um, but what I say it's professional. I think you're right when in the sense of we've been conditioned. I mean, Marty, would you ever think back in your days of ESPN of taking a cell phone out and saying, "Okay, we're going to shoot this clip and we're going to push it live on Sports Center"?
No, no, it took them quite a while to even accept user generated content. I mean, that was a very slow road of acceptance. But I want to dovetail on kind of what both of you are saying when you're speaking about the GoPro, right? It's to me, it's like a use case, and a lot of the mobile video or the GoPro style video, the small cameras, can be ingredients in a larger operation, right? So many times, if it's really the only option, sometimes if the content is really compelling, especially if it's breaking news, you know, you can even forgive vertical video. I can't believe I'm saying that, but if the content is incredibly compelling, then that can cancel out the annoyance of the vertical video. But it's got to be incredibly compelling content, at least for me to accept that. And then secondly, just turning this around and just the idea of taking mobile video, it could be an ingredient. You know, it could be the best option at the time to get the shot. You know, and again, if the content is really compelling, that's important. Same thing with you, Stephen. When you're mentioning that you're going out on an outdoor trip, you're not going to take a full, $10,000 camera, and bolt it to the thing where it's not waterproof. That the GoPro's designed it to be all weather, and that's perfect. And also, a lot of these devices have wide angle lenses, and that's done on purpose because mainly the content that it's ingesting, or that it's the content the content you're producing, you want to show the full view of things. And you mentioned also about the talk show and using these cameras for talk show setup. It's not really ideal. I mean, Jeff, you even mentioned at a conference, and you've seen this where you might be in the first couple rows, and the conference organizers say, "I want to take a video of the speaker," and the lens is way too wide. You're not getting close enough. So that's where you need a better camera with a zoom lens. Get closer. Again, using the tools necessary to complete the job, and not to take away from, if you're just getting into this and all you have is a couple of cell phones and you want to start something, by all means use that. Use what you have. But
Absolutely.
I think also that it's not necessary. You really can't call it professional. You can call it starting out and at least getting used to it. But if you're doing a job, like I think all three of us have done professional jobs for money, I mean, I would not show up to a job with a bunch of cell phones unless there's a compelling reason to do so. And maybe it's an ingredient as part of your show, maybe,
Right.
but again, it's finding that use case and matching the tools to the use case.
Well, I get into these
I think
discussions all the time, like even in the outdoor industry, like because I tell them this is the rig that I take into the woods with me. I hang this from a tree, or I even on fishing trips I take this. This is my rig. That's why there's camo on it, so it hides very well in the woods. But people are like, well, why don't you just take a GoPro? And I say, well, if somebody from TV wants to take that footage, they're not going to take a GoPro footage, Jeff. I mean, they're just not going to do it.
Well, I think again, to me, for the conversation we're having right now, there are some parts of it that I think are subjective. Using the word, is it professional? This isn't. In certain situations, you can use that, but I think any of the video that's shot, no matter any kind of device, even on an old, 10-year-old device, is usable and can be professional in the right moment, in the right way, at the right time. But by and large, where you're going to have an advantage with that camera, Steve, in the woods is a great example, is that nobody wants to be really close to the mountain lion or the big bear. And the GoPro obviously is not going to give you any kind of meaningful close-up shots. With that lens you've got there on that Sony camera, I'm using right now a 4K broadcast is the camera we're using right now. Compact camera, looks identical to yours. It's the PXW-Z90. Love the camera. The lens on this camera would get me probably 100 yards, 50 yards with crystal clear 4K video that you're not going to have any chance of even recognizing what it was in that GoPro. So, but I think we need to be careful in just certain ways that we're not discounting that if somebody is starting out with a phone, or they have a company, where I actually know people who shoot with iPads. There's nothing wrong with that. What we're doing is pointing out that there are definitely meaningful differences between what kind of video you're going to be able to obtain with the tool and the equipment you're using. But by and large, if you move from the consumer level mobile video into the more traditional type of equipment, you're going to come away with much more control and much more creativity, because now you have the ability to really architect out what you want that visual to look like.
Now, before we wrap up this discussion and we get on to showing what our viewers sent in, let me ask you something, guys. That even you, the audience, you can answer as well. Somebody approaches you and says you need live video in your business, in your brand, whatever you're doing. You're trying to push this to your CEO. You're saying we need to do live video. What steps are you going to take? Jeff, we'll kind of start with you. What would you say? I know you said you should use what you have, and if it's cell phone video, but approaching a company, wouldn't you want them to put the best foot forward and maybe invest into video equipment, or would you just say, hey,
Yeah,
let's just go live?
yeah, no, in a corporate setting, I think that the dynamic and the conversation is completely different. And that is this: your manager, hey, Ralph, look, like I said, you've spent 70,000 on that logo for this great product. This looks great over here. We've got the product ready to roll. And you're asking me to take basically what will look like everybody else's video if I put it together, because of the fact I'm limited with the gear, but with real cameras. And I use real even as kind of a subjective thing, but with a more professional level camera with more professional lighting. I think what we're all doing today, just with how we look on camera, even the nonverbals of that speaks to what it looks like when you're using the better gear in the right way. And that's, to be honest with you, I think that says everything. I can't tell you how many times I come into a live stream or into a video conference and I say nothing, but people are, the whole thing is about me. And I'm like, it's not what I wanted it to be about, but they see the differences. And so I would go to my manager and I would show them what it looks like in that nice conference room with no lighting next to the window in silhouette. You can't hear him and he's blue. And then I would show something like this and say, which one do you think is going to sell more for our company?
That's a good point. Marty, what's your take?
Yeah, I certainly agree with everything Jeff just said. I think also what people have to realize, and then they get lost, where they see, like on a device like this, it says it can take 4K video, and it can, but the differences are the sensor in this is tiny, so it may be by definition 4K video, but you can't compare that to, like, say, a $50,000 Sony camera, or even like a $2,000 Sony 4K camera that has a much larger sensor, better lens system, much better at dealing with light. I think that came up earlier in a conversation where you might have changing lighting conditions, much better lighting, much better dynamic range. And it's funny because in perfect lighting conditions, this can, and also in the hands of a professional, you can get some pretty good results with something like this. But it's not going to compare, again, especially in challenging conditions, which we all work in. The better the gear, the better the presentation. And especially for a business, especially if you're trying to gain an audience, or coming out with some content and you want to be taken seriously, you want to, again, you don't spend a ton of money, but you want to put your best foot forward that you possibly can. I think that's the message here. So if all you have is this and you have to get the message out, then by all means use it, but you always want to put your best foot forward. And I think most businesses can probably get a couple cameras, and again, you got to decide, do you want to put a little bit of investment in there and spend a few $1,000s, and that's really all it takes, and then learn how to use your gear, do all the proper setup, just put your best foot forward, and then that way, if you're doing that, you're going to be more apt for people to pay attention to your content, and that's really the reason why you're doing it anyways.
I think,
Yeah, Steve, let me say just one quick thing here, just to dovetail off of that. Again, the use case is everything. The way I sell with my clients is that it's basically a three-prong approach, that I teach how to do the DIY video where how to frame it correctly, that you look good on camera. I have a $200 Sennheiser microphone that plugs in the lightning port so you sound good. Get them where they're really good with that day-to-day video, so that wherever they're on the street, they still have that great social video feel. And there's a definite, very, very important place for that. So we're not talking about removing that. But then the next level up from there is that next level of production, and then above and beyond that is that real premium, high polished, slick promo. And so I kind of sell it as there are 3 tiers to what you're trying to accomplish. And so one is not necessarily meant to replace the other, but if you're missing the better, you're only left with the good.
Mm. Well, and also I think the takeaway too here is understand how a camera works. It doesn't matter if you're using a phone. I mean, I've seen great video shot with a phone. Um, and do your due diligence. I see there's, I was just talking with somebody from work the other day about their wife. He's getting a gimbal for her, and, so she could go out and shoot street video and whatnot. I mean, because obviously you're walking around, you're doing this, it's going to make the video bad. Like, understand how the equipment works, and try to, like Marty said, try to do the best you can. I'm still not 100% sold, but to each their own, right? I mean, I'm not going to knock anybody. In fact, we had a
Have you not
viewer.
seen my pictures of the moon with my iPhone, Steve?
I did.
They're incredible.
You
They're
know,
like,
I think they do a great job. It's just I don't know. I guess for what I'm doing, I'm just gonna sit over here and just kind of bask in the fact that I just don't really like it. But it's fine. I mean, to each their own. Yeah, we're not gonna agree on everything every time, right? So
no, we're not supposed
to. So listen, guys, but like they had a lot of good advice. Put it out there. Use what you have. Learn how to use it. I think that's great. One of the things that we had here is we had a gentleman that actually wrote in, uh, Christopher Sabato. Hopefully I didn't butcher his last name, but he is the assistant athletics director in media for Wilmette University athletics. And so one of the things he did was he sent in some links, and I'm going to kind of push this live here so we can see this here. So this is the video. He does the college basketball, and we'll give you guys the links. I'll put them in the show descriptions on the
Looks
shows
like
when
he's
we
got a
upload.
soundboard there.
But this is he's shooting this with a cell phone. I know. He's shooting it with a cell phone, but no, it looks really good. I mean, he's shooting it and he's actually talking through it. But for lack of time,
it does, yeah.
We're not gonna. But we'll give you links that you guys can go back and listen to it and see step by step. But I want you guys to pay attention. I mean, this is a basketball. This is a university. This is an elaborate setup to get professional quality video, and you can see on his YouTube channel, like I said, when we post links to it, you can see that the results of all this. So it's pretty intense. What was your guys' takeaway while this is playing? What was your takeaway from this?
Well, my first thing is I need to get my sportscaster voice and we're like, let's go courtside. No, it's great. He's breaking out the audio with a second mixer there. That may be a sub mix. I know that from what I've seen from Chris in the Wirecast Facebook group, great work, incredible work. And this is a great example of somebody who takes the equipment that is now available today that's more miniaturized than ever, and is doing great things with it. It's amazing what you can do with products like Wirecast, small compact mixers. He's got the Audio Technica headset there. That's kind of an industry standard, for $200. You can get one of those. And the Daktronics scoreboard there, that's not part of the video gear from what I can see. But basically, he's got, and you'll see it in different parts of this video, where he's got camera mounts at the basket, and he's got them. He's got 4 cameras, from what I understand. One is wide, one has got the close shots up on the players, and then he's got those 2 end cams on each of the baskets. Does a great job with this, and it's amazing what I'm sure his crew's probably not 25 people, Marty, as you know from ESPN. They pull the 3 trailer trucks up for Monday Night Football. It's amazing what 4 or 5 guys can get away with and do some incredible things with.
Absolutely. I think, and you mentioned the PTZ cameras. What's great about this, and I'm sure his setup is a minimal setup. You can't be having 50-person crew, so you're going to get a shot here, I think, coming up where he's got a PTZ with pan tilt zoom camera attached to the stanchion of the basket here. And what's great about is that a PTZ? I'm not sure if that's a PTZ.
That looks like one of the small compact cameras. It might be like a Marshall.
So I think there's another shot where he does have a PTZ camera. I think getting the overhead shot.
Yeah, because he was showing that
there now.
He was showing that in Wirecast, where he had certain shots set up where they were PTZing
so I think
it around.
We're heading up there now, and I think this shot here is he's going to show his PTZ camera. What's great about that in a setup like this is it doesn't require a separate operator. So you can have an operator man multiple cameras, and since it's pan tilt zoom remote, you can have the shots change remotely. You can use a remote control to change the camera positions and focus on different. Now he's got a lockdown camera there. It looks like a mid-court camera, and I'm not sure. It
And
looks like this
that's
is
the
a
Wirecast setup there, I believe,
okay. Yep.
where he has it up on the almost looks up on the bleachers, and it is his gear
And I
rack
think
and
we'll see
audio.
that he uses a dual monitor setup for the
Mhm.
Wirecast setup. So he has one monitor where he has his. Now that's just a lock. It looks like I'm sure he has a camera operator here
Do you notice
for
too?
this
He's using a
camera.
crowd mic as well up there
Yeah.
with the shot Rode
Well, that's a
shotgun
good
mic.
good point. Well, that's the that's the atmospheric. You want
Yep.
well, in the industry you call it nat sound or natural sound, and you mix that on one channel just to give it some atmosphere. You'll notice when you watch sports,
There's
you
the
always hear the
PTZ.
crowd. Yep, there's PT. And what's great about those cameras is it doesn't require a separate operator. So you might have an operator handle multiple PTZ cameras. And Stephen, you were showing off on one of the episodes where on those cameras you can set preset shots
Yep.
and you can have them locked down and you can go to shots quickly.
Yeah, it's all
So
built into
there's his
Wirecast, so you can just click on stuff and
yep,
just send it. And
and
that's what
that's
he
I think
does
this
here.
is his
Yeah,
Wirecast setup here, right? Yeah.
it is. Yeah, and one of the things too that I think just for anybody who wants to do this kind of thing, the big thing that you've got to be aware of is distance with your wires. If you're using HDMI, you've got about 16 to 20 foot before you're going to need a repeater. A
Mhm.
lot of people will buy a 50 foot or 100-foot HDMI, plug it in the back of their camera, bring it and plug it into the back of a Magewell converter to USB, and then there's no picture. And it's because the distance is too great for that signal to flow. And so you can buy longer HDMI cables that are powered, even some that are fiber. But in this case, I think they're using SDI, Steve, is what it looks like to
Mhm.
me,
Yep.
which gives you a lot broader distance. I think it's like 300 foot to be
And
able to run a cable and get your signal.
and most people are afraid because of the cost with SDI, but let me tell you something. As somebody that went through component to HDMI to then
Yeah.
finally to SDI, do yourself a favor, invest in SDI. You will thank me later. Even with
Now,
NDI, you will thank me later.
yes, no, there's no doubt about that. Now he's actually right now using New Blue Effects, showing the presenter
Yep.
program with the titles. These are in CSV format. The player positions and numbers are all brought in, and it's literally selecting a name, and it's on a different box, and it's being brought in, I think, through NDI,
Yep.
and it's available on screen, and it works brilliantly. And I don't know about you, Steve. You a fan at all of NDI? I think it's the greatest thing ever.
I am, especially since with this type of workflow, you can have somebody managing the graphics while there's somebody running Wirecast and switching the program. So with the multi-view out on there, it gives you every instance of the court that he's projecting, so he can quickly switch to it in the event referees need to go back and monitor to see if the person stepped out of bounds or if it was a foul or something like that. So um, he's got a very elaborate setup, and
Yeah, he's got an X keys box there to switch with. Those are the buttons there, and this mixer here is likely his program out for Wirecast, bringing in the voice of the play-by-play, the color, that natural sound on there, and then anything else that needs to be part of that.
yeah.
Very
So
And
nice.
that's what
go ahead,
and
Marty.
that's what's great about using a system like Wirecast is that you have the option to certainly you don't need all the breakout boxes. You can do something simple and do everything internal. Wirecast has a built-in mixer. So do a lot of other switching programs have built-in mixers. They handle audio. But what's great about these is you can also add the option of adding these outboard um, audio boards and all the outboard switching units. And what that does is there's nothing like, and Steven, you could attest to this, there's nothing like having that tactile feel
Yep.
on the buttons. I mean, you just have to manage, and that's the reason why he does it. A little more control.
Yep. I tell
And it
Wirecast
adds
users that all the
complexity.
time. I tell them, get
Exactly.
yourself an X keys and run Wirecast. You will thank me
Yep.
later.
Yep. And so there you can see he had showed the 4 shots too for the court, close and far, your wide and tight shots there, and then both of the cameras on each end of the basket. So with 4 cameras, you're able to pull up a really great looking game with the graphics, and you've got hopefully some great talent that sits there and gets the crowd excited. And he's obviously a champ with the switching and putting it together. So this is a great example of what it takes to put together something. And Marty, it's kind of funny, Steve, you too. We talk about, I like to use the term miniaturization, a lot of the equipment, but it's funny that all the equipment has changed since the TV world originally came out with it. It's building up again. He'll be 2 years from now with 10 times the equipment because they do different things. He's got a virtual set flowing and all this good stuff. So it's amazing that while people are now running thinner in some ways, new toys come out and it's like, hey, we want to put that in there too. So it's kind of just the evolution of video in many ways.
Hey Jeff, I think we're old enough to remember 3-tube cameras. You remember? I
Yes.
mean, back in the 80s, right? And those
Yep.
things were beasts, and and you always had to have the tweaker to tweak the tubes and this and that. I mean, nowadays, like with solid state and also, yeah, with the size, I mean, just the advances and the
Oh,
quality
but
of
you know
video we
what?
can get.
Can you imagine people understanding what it means to point a tube camera at a white car trying to get the burnout
No.
if you left it on a light?
I
You would
don't miss
literally
those days.
ruin your camera if you left it in any field of view with like a stadium light or something, and it was toast at that point. And yeah, I'm glad we're past that.
So for
Yep.
once, I feel like the kid on the block, because in the 80s
You
I
are
was
the
a
kid.
kid, so I wasn't using. I didn't have GoPros, but I wasn't using cameras then, so I don't remember those cameras. I'm gonna have to look them up now on YouTube because now you guys got me interested. But
You can look up an Ikegami HL790
Yeah,
or a
Ikegami, Iki,
RCA,
yeah.
the RCA TK76 from 1982. Those are the two I started with.
Yep.
but
I
guys,
started with Iki too.
we're gonna have to wrap this up. But I want to encourage you guys, just like Christopher did, send in your setup, even if it's something you're just proud of, or hey, it doesn't even have to be a Wirecast setup. Whatever your setup is, and you think that you've been productive with it, let us take a look. We want to showcase it here on the show. I think it's something to see, for people to see the professional setups that are out there, or even, hey, maybe you're going to call me out and say, look, I'm using cell phones and I have it set up, and I'm producing a show this way, and this is the results of it. Hey, I'm okay. I'll eat crow. I'll be the first one to do it. But do a 2 to 3 minute video, send it in, do a little introduction, and say to us and say, hey guys, this is what I want. I want you guys to critique this, or I just want you guys to see this setup, or I could really use some help. I think that would be most beneficial to us when we do this on the show. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great.
Yep.
Next couple weeks.
Before we prove Steve wrong, I mean, really, what matters is the end result, right?
That's
So,
right.
I mean, I've seen some incredible stuff with people that just shoot with this, and I mean, don't get us wrong. We're not necessarily knocking this, I don't know about
No.
Steven, but I'm not knocking, but I mean, but it's the end result. I mean, I take my 2-light setup as an example, right? It's not the proper way to do it, but I can get away with it, get dialed in, and it looks more than it is. That's all that matters, really.
right.
So prove us wrong. We want to see your video.
Yep.
So
Yep. And before we
Yeah,
go,
that's it. And yeah, and many times we're talking about the corporate setting. People who know better, for lack of better verbiage, that want more out of their video, but yet they're not seeing the vision enough to invest in it. And I think that's where the problems come into. But with for any of you who are sending out your video, sending it to us, we want to be able to help. Just because we have our own opinions doesn't mean that we're the only ones that understand it. And if you've got something to share with us, help us see what you're doing. And if there's anything we can do for you, we'd love to help.
exactly. That's what we want to make sure that whether we agree or disagree with how it works, the end result, like Marty said, is really what everyone's after. But I want to put this out there really quick. I know we're over time, but guys, if you want to bear with us just a little bit, we had a great comment in here on LinkedIn with Demetris. I guess that's how you say his name. He says, what do you guys think of mobile journalism? Will it be a new trend for news, or currently Octopus is releasing new iReporter app where news staff can interact with the app users and ask them to shoot video near breaking news spots. We've kind of seen this though, as CNN has introduced this type of thing in the past, and I think it's successful. I mean, really quick, what's your thoughts on this? We'll go with Jeff first here.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Mobile video for news is where it's going to be and where it's going to be at. Not only is the mobile video generation evolving where the apps are better, the cameras themselves are beginning to become alive and smart and sending real-time signals back to home base and those kind of things. I think the days of the satellite van, that's already on its way out, but really it's going to be the cameras themselves built for news specifically. But then they're going to be able to take, it was a great example, where other eyewitness accounts can be brought in using an app to kind of tie everybody together, and using geolocation, it'll be able to kind of figure out where things are, show them on a Google map. I think there's no doubt about it. This is where news is going.
Indeed. Marty?
Yeah, I would agree with Jeff, and also what I would recommend to folks, especially younger people that are maybe in college that want to get into journalism, uh, you better be learning how to do the whole thing. So if you want to
Hmm.
be on camera, you better learn how to do the camera. You better learn how to edit, write, graphics, all that stuff. Because what you're seeing, especially in the smaller markets, is they're one-man bands now, or and they're shooting their own packages. They're doing their own thing. They're doing their own edits, and really the equipment and the technology allows for that. And so even something like this where you got a cell phone, and again, because everyone has one in their pocket, you're seeing, I mean, anytime there's breaking news, what do you see? There's always video that comes out at the time the news is breaking, and lots of times it's bad news, but maybe an accident or whatever. But I mean, it's always there,
Yeah.
and the quality of the video is pretty good, even though it's on cell phone. So yeah, that trend is just getting started and it's going to continue.
So,
And thus a use for mobile video. There you go,
yeah, well,
Steve.
there you go.
There's a use for it.
Well, and it's great for viewing stuff. And we're gonna end on this note. David Furstein, I guess, in the chat room on Facebook says, "I can't wait to see Jeff in his new shirts." So, with that said, we hope you enjoyed.
On that
David
note,
is my firefighter buddy who's doing my Fire Media TV shirts with my new patch logo on them. So, David, thank you very much for that. I can't wait to pick them up.
Okay, I thought he was making a comment towards your fuchsia shirt, and I was gonna say, let's see what shirt
Well,
Jeff
my
has on
shirts
next week.
better not be fuchsia that he's letting me have. They're supposed to be black, red, and I think blue. So, yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you sticking around. I know we went 10 minutes over, but we figured, with a lot of the comments that were coming in, we wanted to answer, and there's a lot of comments we didn't get to. So we're going to go back throughout the day today and tomorrow and answer some of them questions or comments or react to them. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Go like the Facebook page, Telestream Wirecast. Go subscribe to us on YouTube, Telestream Tube. And go give us a follow on LinkedIn. Just look up Telestream. That way you guys won't miss an episode. Now, really quick, we have next week, the show is going to be Wednesday, not Thursday, because I am going to be out on vacation Thursday and Friday. I have some family coming in. So Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be doing the show next week. So mark your calendars so you don't want to show up Thursday and expect a show because we won't be here. So we're just doing it a day early so that you guys get your on social show in. And we look forward to that. But thank you guys again for tuning in. And again, send those videos in. We want to see them. I get them out to the guys. They love seeing them. And go check out what Christopher has. I'll have the links in the descriptions on the videos when they upload. So thank you guys again. Until next time.